It's Thursday, June 12th. Breaking news, a plane bound for London has crashed shortly after takeoff in Western India. Officials have ordered immediate rescue and relief efforts.
And I think that may be an event that will force attention to seeing if there can't be an agreement achieved.
Pressure point. Sources tell CTV News talks are intensifying between Canada and the U.S. on an economic and security deal ahead of next week's G7 summit.
I've been wondering all the time I've lived here when this is going to happen.
Ready for the worst. People in Squamish, BC are prepared to leave at a moment's notice as an out-of-control wildfire grows nearby. And remembering a musical visionary, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys has died at the age of 82. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Good morning. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. Thanks so much for starting your day off with us.
I'm going to jump right in because we are following breaking news this morning that is unfolding right now. A plane carrying more than 240 people has crashed in Western India, and Air India has now confirmed there was one Canadian on board. Here's what we know so far. Air India Flight 171 went down shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad. The plane was heading to London. Officials at Gatwick Airport have also confirmed this crash. The plane was carrying 232 passengers, 12 crew members. The flight tracking website, Flight Radar 24, says the last signal from the plane came fewer than 200 meters after takeoff. No news yet on deaths, but a state official has ordered an immediate rescue effort. India's aviation minister also says the country is now on high alert and is, quote, shocked and devastated. We, of course, will have more on this story as it develops throughout the morning. In other news, there are signs of a potential thaw in the bitter trade war started by U.S. President Donald Trump.
It's a very dynamic situation. You know, we've been engaging with our friends in the United States. You know, we talk to different people in the administration.
CTV News has learned Canada and the U.S. have intensified talks for an economic and security deal, and there's a preliminary framework in place. Sources have also told CTV News finalizing a deal like this will require a final sign-off from President Trump. The timeline, bit unpredictable, though, because of all the unrest in the U.S. right now. Last week, Industry Minister Melanie Joly confirmed there had been high-level talks between Canada and the U.S., but details of those talks have not been made public. President Trump is expected to land in Alberta for the G7 summit on Sunday. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mark Carney is facing pushback over some controversial invites to the G7 summit.
It does not send a right signal to the world. It means, anyone can come in Canada.
The Liberal MP for Surrey met with the Prime Minister to talk about his concerns around inviting Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the summit. It was almost 2 years ago that Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar was shot and killed in Surrey in a murder that RCMP has linked to India's government. Also on the invitation list, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Saudi Arabia has not confirmed if that invitation, though, has been accepted. We do know UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will meet with Prime Minister Mark Carney in Ottawa before the summit starts in Alberta. The two leaders previously met back in March in London. Fire officials in BC say a wildfire burning near Squamish could take weeks to put out because of how difficult the terrain there is to navigate.
For this fire specifically, very much the terrain is a concern. You know, every new area needs to be assessed for every type of safety concern, danger trees, rolling debris, fire activity.
A local state of emergency is in effect as the Dryden Creek fire burns. It has been slowly growing this week. It is now about 54 hectares. That's about 10 and a half times the size of the Rogers Centre in Toronto. People living in the area are packed up and ready to leave at a moment's notice. Alice Lake Provincial Park has now been evacuated as well.
These funds are going to help support families not only through their evacuated time, but going to help support them as they encounter the costs of returning to their home community.
Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe is promising a one-time $500 payment to every evacuee older than 18 in the province. The pledge comes as the province faces criticism over its response to these fires. Evacuees have said that it's been difficult to get information through the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency website. And while Saskatchewan's ombudsman says she's heard from people left without shelter, supplies, or medical support. These issues have triggered an investigation into Saskatchewan's wildfire response. Meanwhile, about 7,000 evacuees in and around La Ronge can start heading home today after being forced out more than a week ago. It was another night under curfew as tensions continue to run high in LA. There was a 6th straight day of protests against immigration raids until the order to go home went out. That was about 6:30 p.m. The second night of curfew brought more arrests. Some of the National Guard troops deployed to LA are now allowed to detain protesters until they can be arrested by police. About 700 Marines are also standing by at a baseball stadium that is nearby. And I want to show you some footage now. This is of ICE agents chasing farm workers in Ventura County. Officials say at least 330 undocumented migrants have been detained since Friday. Some National Guard troops are being trained to assist agents in these immigration raids. The world of music is remembering Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, who has died at the age of 82. I'm picking up vibrations. She's giving me excitations. Brian Wilson is known as the visionary who elevated surf rock into art form. On the surface, Pet Sounds, it's an album about summer and fun at the beach, but some call it the greatest album ever made because of its songwriting and studio engineering. Brian Wilson spent much of the 70s as a recluse as he battled mental health issues and drug addiction, but eventually he did end up releasing several solo albums and did reunite for projects with the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson's family shared the news of his death on social media. Ottawa is expected to announce details of a promised Canada Strong Pass next week. This makes good on a promise from Prime Minister Carney during the federal election. The single pass is expected to give people younger than 18 free seats on Via Rail when traveling with their parents, as well as free access to Canada's national galleries and museums. The Liberal platform also said they'd introduce heavily discounted access to those museums and galleries for people 18 to 24. Free access to national parks and historic sites through the summer also expected to be included in this pass. The Canadian Press is reporting the pass will be available starting June 20th and will last until the end of August. There's a baby boom at the Calgary Zoo. They have welcomed several newborns this spring. That includes 2 river otter pups, 2 threatened wood bison calves, and 3 critically endangered black and white ruffed lemur pups. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Oh, whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Their eyes, they're ready. More expected this summer, more babies.